In April 2020, Final Fantasy VII Remake finally released, and fans were hella confused with the way that it ended. I'm not gonna lie, it was confusing. But over time, the community has developed a whole bunch of crazy theories that don't really seem so crazy anymore. They're actually starting to make a lot more sense, as crazy as that sounds, with what the story direction might be going for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and whatever the third entry will be. And naturally, these last couple weeks, we've been getting a lot of crazy promos and hype regarding Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and when we could expect to see the next upcoming trailer. Well, as you guys can see behind me, that trailer came, and people are still just as confused. Especially with this scene right here. This is a lot of people wondering what the hell could be going on. And there's a lot of theories whether this is the other timeline, whether this is a single timeline, and also whether or not this is Shinra fabricated propaganda for the news and whatnot. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of the theories that people have for Final Fantasy VII Remake story direction and of course where it will be going. Now it's important to note that these theories, of course, are not 100% correct. We all in unison, no matter what you believe, no matter what you think is going to happen, we're all in the same boat. We have no idea what direction this story will be going. And if you ask me, that's the best thing about all of this, because if it weren't for the confusion, fact that we don't know exactly where it's going to be going, a lot of channels would not exist. The Final Fantasy VII Remake community has been amazing over the last 3 years. We got channels like Schrodinger's Baby Seal, Sleep Easy, and many others that have come up in that time and just overall opened our third eye to various things, which, by the way, if you guys haven't, please check them out. Sleep Easy's channel is fantastic. He makes full-on movies breaking down things within Final Fantasy VII that you would have never thought of. And also, Schrodinger's Baby Seal, who hosts tons of discussions and talks about plenty of those theories alongside Sleep Easy. So they're a match made in heaven. So all in all, I personally love the changes to the Final Fantasy VII Remake story because we can have amazing discussions and thought-provoking talks. For all the latest on Final Fantasy, whether it's 7 Remake, Rebirth, and also 16, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates and help raise that 21% even higher. Now with that being said, let's get into the video. So contrary to popular belief, in the entire story of Final Fantasy VII Remake, there technically is 3 different timelines. There's the OG timeline, then Remake, which is the Beagle Timeline, which is what we see throughout the entirety of the story. That we're naming it the Beagle Timeline because that's a great way to keep track of what the hell is going on. And obviously the directors want us to do that too because of how many times they reference it and showcase to us that Shinra uses a beagle dog as Stamp, their mascot. And then there is a third timeline that a lot of people are calling the Zack timeline, which isn't necessarily accurate, but it's also not inaccurate. And that is the Terrier Timeline, where at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, when the singularity or the Harbingers blow up and explode, it creates a shockwave throughout all the timelines, and it showcases to us that what we're witnessing right now is the Terrier Timeline, with Zack being alive. So between Sephiroth meddling with the Remake timeline and creating ripples along the way, the Whispers being defeated and not being able to prevent the story events from being changed, with the party destroying the Harbingers, it sort of combined all of the timelines together, creating the single timeline. But it's altered. It's a single altered timeline. So this party that we're seeing right here is the party from the Beagle Timeline, and they were transported into the Terrier Timeline's world. And in the Terrier Timeline, that is a timeline where all of this happened, where Avalanche essentially is dead. They're showcasing a dead Tifa, a dead Barret, dead Red 13, and a dead Aerith. Now you might be wondering, where the hell is Cloud? Why isn't he being showcased here? Well, if you look at all the trailers and even the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can see Cloud is on Zack's shoulder as they successfully make their way into Midgar. And at the end of Intermission, Yuffie's DLC, you can see Zack is clean, has no battle scars, no bruises as he did before. A couple days have passed, and he is inside of Midgar trying to find Aerith. He goes into the church, everybody in there is crying, they doesn't know what the hell is going on. And then now seeing this intro piece right here, it kind of shows us that people were crying because Aerith is in fact dead. And in the meantime, wherever Zack left Cloud as he went to go check on Aerith, Cloud must have wandered off and went to do his own thing. And now in the new Terrier timeline, Cloud has become the Marco, the reunion clone that we've been seeing flashes of throughout the entirety of Remake. And they kind of show us that here in the trailer. If you guys look at this part right here, you're going to see it pops up. And that's Cloud right there. The dead party element inside of the Terrier Timeline also solves and resolves the issues that come across where you have a duplicate amount of party members roaming around and 2 Buster Swords. So now you can expect to see throughout Rebirth, when we're playing as our Beagle party that is now in a Terrier Timeline, they'll start to notice things such as the stamp Shinra dog being a Terrier. I'm pretty sure Barrett and party will reference that and say, I don't remember it being that kind of dog. It was a different dog before. But them not paying much attention to it. But eventually, as I go throughout the story, little various details will be different. There'll be people coming up to them and being like, hey, I thought you died. Which does explain Tifa's quote in the first Rebirth trailer, which more than likely now is looking to be her talking to not necessarily Cloud, but someone else. Could be Johnny in Costa del Sol. We did talk about that a bit last year, but that seems to be the case now. Now, one thing Yuffie's DLC did tell us is that it's in fact canon with the Final Fantasy VII original story, as she can try to walk into the 7th Heaven bar after seeing Tifa, Barrett, and the rest of the gang walk in there. The Whispers will actually prevent her from trying to enter in, and this is the only bit of the Whispers you see in Yuffie's entire DLC. There's also one more very interesting bit that may or may not play a factor into the single combined, like merged timeline bit with when it comes to Yuffie at least. Shoutouts to Baby Seal for pointing this out, and also Odysseus on Twitter. But if you look at the left picture right here, this is Yuffie's outfit and what she is wearing throughout intermission. Nomura has stated that for Rebirth, he will be redesigning certain characters. But if we look at right here, the first thing we can notice is the yellow ribbon is gone from her outfit. And also, she now has a belt. Her pants are completely buttoned. GG's Yuffie. Not to mention her arm guard actually has armor on it instead of it just being like padded like a cast. And also, the fishnet on her left leg has been removed. And it might be minor, but there is apparently a bag on her waist, but that could just be like an accessory thing. I don't know if we'll be able to customize characters in the way they look, and maybe that's the reason why this is the case. But as of right now, this is the Terrier Timeline Yuffie, and I only bring that up because the Beagle Timeline Yuffie that we were seeing before might be affected, but that's still left to be determined. I mean, we still don't know. These are just very interesting bits to point out from now, and then later on we'll find out if this was actually something worth noting. It's also been theorized that Sephiroth, while traveling through these different timelines and affecting all the different possibilities, has been at this for quite some time, and every single time he's tried to make changes, the Whispers have always intervened. No matter how strong he is, he cannot defy fate, which is why at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, when he sort of tricks the party into defeating the Whispers, so now he can change up things to however which he wants to, it kind of was a big negative for the party in that aspect. And again, all of this just means that this is the last single timeline available in the Final Fantasy VII continuity, the Terrier Timeline, that all the party members are available and participating in. The Terrier party members with Barrett, Aerith, Red 13, and Tifa are presumably dead at this point, and there are some minor explanations for that, like maybe Cloud never made it to them and they still continued on with their mission and things went according to plan. Because there are no Whispers to stop any of that from happening, Tifa would have went on the mission with them. They would have eventually ran into Aerith and saved her with Red 13 also, and because no Whispers exist, they all died on the highway. But all in all, the point stands as where we can break it down as the party enters the singularity at the end of Remake. This is the Beagle party and Beagle Timeline. While in the singularity, which exists outside of time, it protects and shields the party from any changes. Essentially, Sephiroth tricks the party to defeating the Whispers, thus allowing him and anybody else to essentially change their destiny, which also creates a world without any Whispers, aka the Terrier Timeline. And of course, with no Whispers, they're not there to stop the party from dying on the highway. Now, the remade world might have some butterfly change effects where we know the extent at least leads to when Palmer, during the space program setup, was choosing the mascot for Shinra. He decided to go with a Beagle in stamp, but in actuality it's been changed to a Terrier in this timeline. Yuffie's outfit may be a result of the timeline being changed, but that's still left to be determined because at the end of intermission in the CGI cutscene at least, we do see her wearing the original outfit. But of course, we don't know exactly when this shot of Yuffie takes place because if you recall, she essentially leaves the city once the plate falls. After that happens, Cloud and the party are still technically fighting against Shinra and going through all of what they go through up until the next day when they leave the highway. So Yuffie's already long gone from then. And then the Beagle party, complete with all the memories that they have from the original continuity, leave the singularity into the land of the Terrier Timeline, where things will be very different from what they remember, and they will be hella confused along the way, which is also pertaining to what Katase was saying, where things will be happening that might be very different but still lead us towards the same plot that we all know and love. And then the only other wildcard is Cloud. Are there two Clouds? Is the other Cloud from the Beagle Timeline, the one that's in our party currently, going to eventually meet the Terrier Timeline Cloud, who is now essentially a failed clone, Marco, if you will. This very well could be the direction they're heading in, but of course, like I said, we have no idea. Some of this could be right, all of it could be wrong. Who knows? We just have to wait and see. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that honestly I am a bit worried. In the back of my mind, I'm always skeptical on if they can nail these things, because there are a lot of elements, there's a lot of moving parts to this stuff that can absolutely ruin the story in which they're trying to tell. But at the end of the day, there is a reason why they're going through all this, and if at the very end they execute it to perfection and I can see, okay, this is actually very well done, I understand why they did all this, then I can nail it as a success in my book. But like I said, still got 2 more games left until we can actually reach that conclusion. But of course, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you believe in the single timeline theory right now? Do you believe there are 2 separate timelines going on still? And if you do, explain to me why that is the case. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy videos are on the way, and you do not want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.